So that bit.ly, and it should have all the links in it. And then if you want anything else that's in here, be sure and ask me and it'll be fine. So part of it, I'm just gonna kind of show you some things that I use a lot and that I find helpful. So Flippity is one of them. And so this is the Flippity site. Go off my screen. So you can do, they've added a lot of new things too that I haven't looked at, but you could do flashcards, just kind of like Quizlet. You can take questions and turn them into a quiz show. The random name picker I use daily, almost daily, depending on what I'm doing. The scavenger hunt, our Spanish teacher has used that. The board game is new. I've not done that. One of them I was going to try the other day. Oh, this snowman was kind of cute. It's like hangman, and the snowman melts as you guess wrong letters. The snowman starts melting. So I was just doing that for fun. There's Mad Libs. There's different ways you can put names. This name thing is actually kind of cool. You can do, I showed it our chemistry teacher. So you can make names out of anything, like the periodic table. I thought was kind of cool for science. Last year, our elementary had games as their theme. So like everything was in Scrabble. So that's just something kind of fun. But what I use it more for is this. So I put my kids in groups a lot. And so like today we did a quiz review. And so you can save your kids. So like I just have them bookmarked. So whatever class it is, I just bring it up. So I don't like the wheel as much because it doesn't take them off, which so it depends what you're doing. So because it doesn't take them off, they could get chose again. So that way they don't tune out. So that's one advantage of that. If I want everybody to go, I usually just go to single name and then it randomizes and I can just keep going. It's like today I had we did a test review. And so whoever gets their name first, they get to pick whatever question they want to do on the smartboard for the test review. And then I just go to the next person, and then you get to the end, and you know the questions you get to choose from are a little bit smaller. But so I use it for that. I use it for teams. If I want to group, groups of 2, I can do that pretty easily. And I usually kind of do it random. I do it right in front of the kids, and so whoever gets, sometimes Flippity fails me, and I get a couple that maybe shouldn't be together. Like this Angel Engage, that would be a horrible pair to be together, to be honest with you. If you have an odd number, the way I've done it is if you do teams instead. So if you go to more, you can also take out, like if kids are gone, I can go in here and take them out. Like I have a couple that are quarantined right now, so I can take them out if they're not here. But you can also do teams, and then if you do teams as opposed to groups of 2, it'll just double them up. So like if I do 5 teams, so this team's going to have 5 in it, and then the rest will have 4. So it puts the extras in the beginning ones. So I really do use this a lot. And if you set it up, it just sets up as a spreadsheet, and then I just save that URL, and I have a folder on my desktop or on my screen that just goes right to whatever class it is. I just click on the class, and that's how we go to the board. So it's always different. It randomizes it. And if you see one that's not good, like you can hit this thing and redo it. Like if you have some kids that are gone, or some kids that you forgot to take them out and you wanted to change them or something like that. I did it one time so that I had kids joining me online and kids in the classroom. And so I kept changing it so that the people online were in different groups, so that we FaceTimed one, we used my computer for one so they could be included in the group. So I do use Flippity quite a bit. So that's one of the things I use. And I really, like I said, I like the randomness of it, and the kids will be like holding their fingers like, please don't let me get in this group, or please let me get with this person, so that because they're smart or whatever the case may be. So I do use that a lot. Let's see, word wall is kind of a new one that I learned this summer. And so word wall, I don't know if this is what I wanted. This might not be what I wanted. Okay. So you can set up different games. So this was one that So I was doing fractions and decimals, I think. So I probably, let's see if I could do this. Whoops, so see, I didn't do that right. So the train goes and it has different levels, and you want to try to get the balloons in the train, and then you complete levels and it moves on. And then once you have those questions in, I'm going to stop. Once you have the questions in, there are different games that you can go to. Like you can use those same questions for different games within WordWall. And so that was kind of a new one that I learned this summer. Which one did I click on?
You have to physically put your questions in?
Yes. So if you just go to wordwall.net, I don't know what this one is. This might be, oh, this was like a quiz show. So the kids kind of liked it. I'm not going to do the whole thing because there's 15 questions, but it has a timer. It had like power-ups you could get, like you could double, like if you could get extra time, you could do 50-50. You could double your score. So they just kind of liked it. And I think at the end it had some redemption questions on it too. So I just tried it out with my algebra kids and they really liked it. So WordWall is another one that I used. Nearpod. I don't know if you've used Nearpod a lot. Oh shoot. So if you have another device, or you can still use your computer, if you want to go to this, if you want to try this out, it's join.nearpod.com. And then this is the code. So I'm not good about this. Oh, darn it. Okay. So if you do join.nearpod.com and then put in that code, I think that should work. I'll try it on my other computer here. That's the part about sharing screen I'm not good at, is going to different places. Then put the dot in. If you don't put the dot in, my computer said that is blocked. That's weird. Okay. And so I think if you put in the code, so I think just type in, you can just type in any name you want. You don't have to put in their name. And so this was like a matching one. And it's another one that you can do a lot of different things with. If I can get out. Okay, so my code was, I don't remember what my code was. I don't think that's the right code.
AQMBB.
All right, AQMBA. Is that what you said? No. All right. AQMBB, all right. Okay. Let's see if it comes up. So, so this was a matching one that when we were practicing like multiplying binomials. So it was matching. So it was just a matching one that kids could practice with. So if you find a match, then it does that. And there, again, this is one that has a lot of different games type things you can do in it. And I'm not a Nearpod pro. I know our Spanish teacher probably uses it more, and she uses it as like the whole presentation and does different things with the Nearpod. When I was remote learning this spring, and I've done it a little bit this fall, I've just like set up a game like this. So I haven't done the whole presentation with it. I've just had it as a game that's set up in there. So that was another one. But the word wall, if you go there, it does have quite a few, different things in it that you can do. And like I said, once you get your questions in, you can change the different things that you do with them. So you can change like the matching game, that balloon pop game, you can turn it into a quiz then, and keep track of the quiz. So those are just some things that I've done with WordWall. Quizzes I use a lot in my blended. And so, I assign it as homework is what I do. And so then the kids, I have a deadline for it. And so they just go through and do the questions. I think it's got a timer, but they did find they could pause it. They found that out the other day because some of them started it like right at the end of class. And they didn't get done before the bell rang. So they found that they could pause it. And so some of these, like I had them where you had to type in the answer. You can do multiple choice. Obviously, you can allow so that there's power ups in there. You can allow so that they can have a redemption question and at the end, go change their question or go like do another answer. So that is another one that I've used some. Kahoot, I don't know if you want to do this. This is one that I made and I showed some of the new things Kahoot has. So Kahoot has come out with some new, oh shoot. Kahoot has come out with some different types of questions that you can do. And so if you guys want to do that like on your phone or on another thing, you can do this. I've got it up here. Okay. Let's see. So here's my Kahoot. So if you want to join my Kahoot, and I think you can like minimize your Zoom and put it on there, or you can use your phone or something else. So if you want to do the Kahoot, just to see a couple of the questions, I won't do the whole thing, but it's one that I made with my, I usually do the name thing too, so that they aren't their own names or something else. So I have a stellar tiger. I turned the music down because that music drives me crazy. I'm glad we have a glad goat, not a sad goat. Gentle tiger, not I mean a stellar tiger and a gentle tiger, and that's good.
At first it
Did
said
any-
crazy tiger. I should have left it there.
What?
At first it said crazy tiger instead of gentle tiger. I should have left it.
Oh, that's fine. Yeah, the kids go through until they get one they like. Okay, did anyone else want in? Otherwise, I'll start it. I don't know how many people I have. So I'll go ahead and just start it so you kind of see. It's on square roots, so. So this is one where they have to type in the answer. So I kind of like it that it shows the answers and then the wrong ones fall off and then the correct one's there. And then you can, do the leaderboard and whatever. This one is like to pick all of them that are true. So all of the sets that 0 belongs to. So some of them like would only. So like the multi-select, I kind of like that too. This is another type the answer. They couldn't find the less than or greater than sign on their keyboards. Was kind of a problem with that one. Okay, yeah, I don't want this one. I want to get to the one that, I'm gonna skip it. I want to get to the, we can do true and false. So you can do true, false. That's another type, the answer. I don't want that one. I'm gonna skip it.
Jill and Gran is asking, is this the free or premium version?
I don't know. I don't pay for it, but I did get one of the, they had that you could do an updated one during the remote learning. And so I think I did that. I'm looking for the one where you can switch the order, and it's driving me crazy. It's probably gonna be the last question. Okay. There we go. This is the one I was looking for. So this one was kind of new, and I was trying to figure out like how you could use it in math. And so this worked to put them in order from least to greatest, because we have to do that a lot. And so, you know, you have to just type the right order in. So it was kind of, or I think you drag them, maybe you drag them in order. I'm on the other side of it, so. So then it shows you the correct order. So, yeah, this will be very good because I skipped most of them. So the kids like this, and then all right. So I'm gonna leave that. Okay. Go back into here. Okay, Quizlet you've probably used a lot. I know we have a lot of teachers that use Quizlet more for vocabulary. I've done a little bit of it. So this Quizlet that I have here is like square roots and cube roots. And so Quizlet Live, you know, my kids really like that. And what I think Quizlet Live, you have to have 12 questions. And so I like to have more questions. And then if you play it multiple times and mix them up, then they usually get through all of the questions. So I just did like this square root and cube root one. So there's different games they can play to practice. So because we're trying to learn these with the 8th graders for the INSCAS test, I did like just share this link with them so that they could practice. And so they have a quiz tomorrow on some of them that they need to know. So Quizlet's just another one. I use Quizlet Live probably a lot. I just have some questions, and a lot of these are now better with math. Before they weren't very good with being able to type math things in, but Quizzes is really good. It has a generator. The only problem with it is the kids can't use it when they type in their answers. So that was the problem with Quizzes. Kahoot has just kind of added the math editor to theirs. And then Quizlet Live has a pretty good one, actually. Theirs is pretty good. All right, so I'm gonna try this. So I'm gonna try this with you guys. And see if you can get a whiteboard. So if you go to this site, you should be able to get a whiteboard. And then you can draw with your hand, you can use the grid, but draw a 3x3 grid. And then what I want to try to do is in the chat, give you guys some questions. So. Make sure everybody gets that. I don't think I can chat and share my screen at the same time. So.
Deb, if you go up to the top view options, there's a drop down there. And I think you should be able to pull out the chat there. If not, let me know and I can drop things in the chat.
Okay. Let's see. Okay. This will be okay. So, so what I would do with my class, and so I'm kind of trying to enact like the Connect 4 game. So that's what I'm trying to do here. So if you make a 3x3 and then just randomly put your numbers in like Trevor did. So just randomly put the numbers 1 through 9 in. So the kids would just put in those numbers. You can write them or whatever you want to do. And then what I would do is give each kid has a question. So let's say Trevor, you have the question x plus 2 equals 3. Let's say that's your question. And so you would have to write your question up. So can you get more of the small? Do you have space to write, or is it all that? Like, can you guys see like what I see? Are you seeing everybody's whiteboards? Okay, yeah. So what I would do then is give everyone a question. So let's say Trevor's question is x plus 2 equals 3. So he gives you his question, you guys solve it. Okay, so everybody solves it. And then he would tell you his number. And let's say, Trevor, your number is 5. And so then everybody can cross 5 off of their game board. So if you're doing 3x3, it's more like tic-tac-toe. So then everybody would cross 5 off of their board, their game board, because that would be one. And then let's say Sandy had the next question, and Sandy had x plus 5 equals 10. And so like, yes, Trevor found the smiley faces and stuff. So then Sandy would give her question. She'd write up her question. Everybody solves it. She solves it. And then she says what her number is. And let's say Sandy's number is 4. And so then everybody would be able to cross 4 off of their game board. And you just kind of go around till you have enough for everybody. And you can do it till somebody gets like a bingo or whatever. So the whiteboard feature, and I know the thing that I did not get to go to that I forgot about Saturday night was using whiteboard to play bingo. And so I'm kind of mad at myself that I was eating teriyaki chicken and not at my game thing. So I think this whiteboard, the only problem with it is like, so since we canceled the other night, the code only stays for a little bit. Then you have to give like a new code. But the kids kind of like I see some of you have found the pictures and the different things like that. And so it's kind of cool that they can do that in like the grid, and I see some music now. So I did not know the music was there. So again, this is another thing that I just found out about this summer when I found out about WordWall. So I'm not a pro at any of these. I'm just kind of throwing them out there for you guys. Okay, Jill has a question. I don't know how to answer that.
Okay, so I've been wanting to look at this. I've been keeping it open on my tabs, and I haven't actually done this. Can you interact with their whiteboards or just see them? Like if I made a giant mistake, could you show me or tell me like, hey, you messed up?
You know, I don't know since I'm in this share screen. I have the option to toggle my whiteboard. So now when I hit toggle my whiteboard, this is what I got.
Okay.
And so I don't know what this means. It must mean I can write something like maybe I could show you how to do
You're
it.
presenting kind of in the middle of
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you go back, can you click on an individual student
Let me
I think
see.
you should be able to click on.
Let's
like,
click on
mine.
Trevor. So I
And
can
then you
click on
should-
Trevor.
And then your actions on
Yeah.
there.
Oh, here are my actions. I can view his address, save his whiteboard as an image. I can erase his whiteboard. Push student whiteboard to students, push teacher whiteboard to students, push teacher whiteboard to student background, copy teacher whiteboard, and kick student. I don't know what that means. That sounds mean. I assume that means you kick out the student. I'm not sure. But yeah, so very helpful. So if some of you use this, feel free to jump in, because obviously I just was kind of playing with it. So it's kind of a new thing for me, because we're still not totally remote. We're just, I just Zoom with kids that are quarantined or sick because they can't come to school. So, and then I think if I do that, Trevor's stuff's still there, and then I could click on another person's and show theirs.
Thank you.
So anybody else know anything good about the whiteboard dot five? So I don't know that you can save it all. I'm not sure about that, but I guess like one of the actions was to save it as an image. So so I kind of like the fact that you could see what the kids were thinking, or see what they're doing on there. So that was just another thing that I was kind of throwing out there. All right. So this is really how I use my Connect 4 game, and I know Ed does some stuff too with it, but he's not, I don't know where he's at. He's not responded to my text. So Connect 4, this is, and I have a bunch of grids made, so if you want some, just let me know and I can email them to you. They're made in Word. You can use it for practicing something new. After I went over stuff, like if I'm doing something pretty simple, I might get, and I usually write my questions on note cards. So like I have a set right here that, I don't know if you guys can, I know you're showing my, you can't see me, you can only see my screen, sorry. Anyway, I forget about that. Anyway, I usually put them on note cards, and I'll either hand out the note cards or I'll put them on a table. Like if it's for a review, I might just set the cards on a table, and when they come in, they pick up a game board, they pick up a problem, and then I have a recording sheet also. A lot of times I will just use it for a test review. So they have the questions, so they don't get the questions, but that's how I use Flippity. So whoever goes first, then they might go do a question on the board and then put their number up. Another thing that's kind of, if you have a lot of students, like I know I have on there to have the numbers 1 to 16, but you could also have them put 20 number, like use the numbers 1 to 20, but there's only 16. So they have to pick which numbers they're going to use. So then different kids have different numbers. So you don't have everybody winning. So it's, it's whatever. There's a lot of possibilities with it. This is usually what I have them do their work on. And sometimes when they do depending what it is, I might let them use this on a quiz. It might be like their notes. And so I usually have them fill this out, and then the corner is just for the number, if they had a number on their paper. What I've been doing with it, because it's the holidays, and I'll show that in a minute, but so I use Flippity. I do have kids' names on little cards too, and sometimes I'll lay those out on a table. And so after a kid gets done, they'll draw the next kid's name and read their name, and then the next kid comes up. So Flippity, I do the card they do. So the goal would be to get 4 in a row. I have one game board because I have some bigger classes. So I have a game board with 20 on it, and I think I might have 24 on one too now. What I've been doing today, I had quiz and test reviews today in most of my classes, is I have these Thanksgiving pictures. And so on this one, after the kid does a question, they put their initials on a picture. And then I have these pictures cut out in a little pumpkin. And so I draw a picture out, and whoever initials are on that picture, then they win like a box. I have those 98-cent box of candies from Walmart. Or I might just, like I had a bunch of Halloween candy, so they might just get a prize from there. So this one has 24 on it because I have 2 classes this year that have 22 in them. Most of mine just have 16 on them. So I just kind of added some pictures. They kind of like that. And then it's funny because as their name gets drawn, like someone takes the picture they wanted. Like today, somebody really wanted Charlie Brown and Snoopy, and someone took it before they got drawn. And so they were all mad. And so I told him I needed to make a Christmas one now with more. And I told him with Christmas, I might add some like homework coupons or maybe some mystery gifts and let them choose when they win. So there might be a couple of mystery gifts in there, or maybe some a homework coupon or something. Just add something a little bit different to survive these last 3 weeks of school or whatever it is before. Besides Connect 4, so I do write them on note cards. You can play Jenga with the same one. So like on some of my blend ed stations, Jenga is one of the stations. So I just use the same cards and they're just numbered. So my Jenga pieces are numbered. So when the kids draw out one of the Jenga pieces, there's a number on it and that's the number. Then they look through the cards and find that number and do it. So you can do a lot of stuff with this same set of questions. And like I said, you can use it for review. I've sometimes used it for homework. When I do my blend ed stations, I take things I would have done as homework and I put them on note cards and do something like this with them. So that's one advantage. Yeah. So I use problem sum homework reviews. Students can work out the question. Oh, did I skip past homework sums? I must have I don't know. I lost my homework sums thing. I'm not sure where it went. Okay. So homework sums are, I don't know what happened to mine, but homework sums are another thing that oh, there we go. See, on the score sheet, it's covering up my thing. I'm sorry. Okay, homework sums. It was, my share screen bar was covering up the top of my slide, so I apologize for that. So for homework sums, I usually take questions I would use for homework. Students work them out and then they add their numbers together. They add the answers together, and if they get the right sum, then I'll let them go on. If they don't, they have to find where they messed up. I usually have them work in pairs, especially now with COVID. Try not to get too big of groups. So these are some examples of what they might look like. And so this is one that we just did with Pythagorean theorem to find the missing sides. And so they had to find their answers and then tell what their sum was. And if their sum was right, they could go to the back. If not, they had to figure out where they were wrong. Sometimes I give them so that the answer is already there. When I use them in my blend ed stations, they have to come up with the answer. I tell them what the sum is. They need to come up with the sum. And so that's another option that we have. Scavenger hunts. COVID has changed this a little bit for me, but so normally I have them in the hallway and they're around the hallway and kids go, they have clipboards and they have to go find their answer. So if it's a scavenger hunt, then the order matters. Like they have to find their answer and then continue it. And I usually have it spell something so that I know. I don't have them start. They usually don't know what it spells. Sometimes they'll try to figure it out. If they know that it's spelling something, they'll try to figure it out. So I just kind of choose where they start so that they're spaced out and so that they're not all starting at the same spot. So I just did one on one of my blend ed stations that I'm going to show you that here coming up too. I gave them this on a piece of paper. So they still had to start, they could start wherever they wanted to start. So like on this first one, if they solve that 4n plus 39 equals 7n plus 6, so n is 12. Is that right? No. 30, or it's 11. So then they'd have to go over here and write the letters. So this one spells, and I did a little bit early, I think it spells Grinch and Max. So I usually have something that it spells so I can kind of tell if they're doing it right. So these are ones I made myself. And so I have quite a few of these made that I just kind of collect. So again, you just take problems that you're going to use anyway. And if you do them like this, the thing I found out with the scavenger hunts, with the homework sums, with all of that is, and maybe you don't have them, and maybe they're just things I have at Third Central, students I have at Third Central, but I have kids that don't do their homework. So, and maybe you guys don't have that, but I have kids that don't do their homework. So if I do something like this and they're working with a partner, then they're doing the questions. If I send them home, they don't do them. But if I'm doing them during class or I'm doing them something like this, then those kids that don't normally do their homework are doing their homework or doing the homework that they just don't realize that's what they're doing. And so that's one advantage I find when I do things like this. So a math lib is similar. These I bought off, I bought some math libs off of Teachers Pay Teachers. And I know some people are really against Teacher Pay Teachers, and that's great, whatever. Sometimes I just do it for convenience and I take I steal the ideas and then I make my own. So I don't know if that's right or not right, but that's what I do. So a math lib, the order doesn't matter, but it just tells a story. Like I think the last one we had was, I used teachers' names on the first one. So Mr. Solomon was drinking coffee with Taylor Swift, wearing tutus, and so it was like a silly thing. But these questions are multiple choice. So that's the difference between them. Is the scavenger hunt, they're not multiple choice. You have to go find your answer. Where with the math libs, they're multiple choice, and that choice puts the words into the story. So again, you can use the same questions. You just have to come up with choices. And I'm not really very good at coming up with multiple choice questions. Maybe there's a good way to do that. Amazing Race I've not been able to do because of COVID, but if COVID ever goes away, which it will someday, I'm hoping. So this works if you have a really good group of people in your school. So because we're a smaller school, it worked pretty well here. So I would give clues to people in my school. So I use like the school nurse, I would use a secretary. I have a history teacher right next to me. He's pretty much game for anything. I have a ag teacher out across the parking lot that she's pretty good at. So if you find people that are good with that. So I give them clues, and then I give the students a clue to go find that person. So the students find that person gives them their question. They come back to me to check to see if their question is right. If it is, I give them the next clue for the next person. And so it works pretty well. It just takes a lot of cooperation from your staff. So like, here's an example. So what is H2O? This person could help you find out. If this person isn't in their classroom, check the track. So that's our science teacher, and he's also the head track coach. And so they would know to go find Mr. Solomon. He would give them a question, and they'd come back to me, and then need a Band-Aid, do you have a temperature? So they'd know, go find the school nurse. So those are just some ideas of that. So it's just kind of fun. And it's something different. Kids like to do things that are different. Blend Ed, I started doing more of that. Our ESU, like our guy in our ESU, Nick, he's like really into Blend Ed, and they've done a lot of stuff with, I don't know what that site's called, but they've done a lot of stuff. So this is one I think I just did. Let's see if it opens. Fingers crossed. So this was tic-tac-toe. And so I gave kids a choice. You could work by themselves, or they could work with a partner. And so the kids that were home, unfortunately, the quarantine kids, they had to work by themselves, which that's just the way it works. So they had to make a tic-tac-toe. The ones with the asterisks are ones that you had to have a partner with. So like the tic-tac-toe, you needed a partner with. The cut and paste activity, you needed a partner with. Jenga, you had to have a partner. But you could make tic-tac-toes other ways without that. So there was a scavenger hunt. I think it's the one I showed you. There was a maze, there was homework sums, there was a coloring activity. They could do IXL. I gave them that IXL, and they had to solve 10 questions, or there was a quizzes. And so as I go through this, I'll just kind of show you. So this was the answer sheet. So when I do Blend Ed, I try to make them accountable so they're not just playing. So each person had to solve 4 different problems when they played Jenga. And so this was the sheet that had to be turned in with theirs if Jenga was one of them that they chose. And these were the Jenga questions that I had cut out already. And then, so you couldn't do Jenga and tic-tac-toe the way I had my tic-tac-toe board set up. So if they chose tic-tac-toe, I had those questions cut out. And so they each filled out their own tic-tac-toe board. So each person did. So they each had one of these sheets. So they put these numbers, the red numbers, wherever they wanted them. And then they chose a question. They both worked it out just kind of on that paper. And then whatever the answer was, they both got to cross that off of their tic-tac-toe board. And then once one of them got a tic-tac-toe, they could move to the back. So I had 2 rounds. I had yellow cards and blue cards. So they just had different questions on them. And so that was a choice they could do. And so then those had to be turned into me. So I'm really big about making them at least be accountable to turn something in. So those are the tic-tac-toe questions. I had a workspace for the maze if they did the maze. I had a workspace for the IXL. I had a workspace for the quizzes. So like they know that they're going to have to show their work for me. Here was their homework sum. So this is an example of a homework sums where I give them the sum. So they had to make sure that their answers added up to 33. And if it didn't, they had to go figure out why. And then once they did, there was one on the back too. And these answers added up to 14. And so that was one of the choices. This is the answer sheet for the scavenger hunt. So they could pick whatever question they wanted to start with, and then they would just then they would just continue through the scavenger hunt. And this was the one that spelled Grinch and Max. So I just kind of put that in there. So that's kind of how I have mine saved. And then like the maze, I think I bought off of teacher, and the cut and paste and the color and activity. Those are things I bought. And so I couldn't put them on here since I bought them, but they're kind of in my packet of stuff that we could do. The coloring, there was different questions in that color design. The cut and paste activity was a partner one because each person had a set of questions and there were answers down the middle. And so when they solved their question, they had to paste them by the answer that matched. So each partner, we should get the same answers. So that was one of my blended stations. That's the one that I just did. This is a different one that I've not done yet, I don't think. Yeah, I did. So this is another way I kind of do my blended where I just give them stations. So one station was notes and then a puzzle that I have. One was a quizzes. One I had some slope problems, and one I had, they had to do so many questions on IXL. So this was the one station that I made up. That was one of the spots. So it kind of depends on the classroom if I just put so much time down and switch it, or if I just let them work at their own pace. But all of them kind of, I know blended, that makes sense. You're going to blend different kinds of things. But I think I was talking to another teacher, and I think technology is great, but I think sometimes they get burned on that. So they actually don't mind cutting and pasting and coloring and doing things like that sometimes, because I think the technology kind of gets old. Okay, then last week, because this was supposed to be last Wednesday, I quickly made an escape room or a breakout. I don't know what you want to call it, but so this one is, I did it in form. I just want to see if I could do it. So I did it in forms. I made Sandy try it out. And so like you had to put your name in, Joe. And then, so this is a review, and you have to understand the pre-algebra kids I have cannot remember from one day to the next anything. So when they did this, they thought I was, I must have typed this in Japanese or something, that's something never seen before. So anyway, they're supposed to find the Pythagorean triples, and then the ones that they had, you use those letters and you had to unscramble the letters. And so this one spelled turkey, and I'm not going to remember all the answers. So this one spelled turkey, and I wanted to see if I could, so I just want to see if I could do it. So like if you type it in like that, it says, nope, try again, be sure. Because I wanted to make sure that I could do that, that you had to go from one to the next. So I was pretty proud of myself, except I made a mistake. And so then it took you to the next one. And then on this one, they had to find the sum of all their answers and add them up. And I don't remember, I think it was 54.1, but I'm not sure. We'll see. I was. And then this one, you had to find the distance. And then I had a little expression up here that they had to put their answers into. And I think this was 68.9, but I might not be right on that one. Oh, it was. And then this one was colors. This is the one I messed up on. And so they had to solve the question, and then whatever color their answer was, they had to type it in. And I didn't really say anything. I just said, pay attention to the colors. And so like they were typing in blue, like typing in the whole thing. And so I think it's blue, green, purple, green, maybe. So I didn't really tell them about the caps lock or anything else. So like if they did that, then I put in here, you just need the first letter of each color. So then that made some of them mad that they didn't get that. So I think this is it. And then congratulations, okay. So I really just came up with that. Mainly I just want to see if I could do it. So it wasn't terribly hard. And I did my questions in a Word document, and then I used my snipping tool and saved it as a picture and then installed it in the Google form. So it really wasn't terrible. So that was good. Whoops. All right. What do I have next? So this is just some additional things that like Lenny Vermoss has a ton of stuff. I don't know if Lenny's on tonight. He was on my last one. Lenny Vermoss has a ton of stuff that you can use that is wonderful. Math Equals Love. She's somebody I follow on Twitter. She just changed her blog, and now she has like her own website. And so she has, and all her stuff is free, which is nice. The Sarah Vanderwerf is another one that I follow. During remote learning last year, our Spanish teacher uses this bingo baker. So it was kind of cool. I think I did pay for it. It's not very much, like for a whole lifetime. But I did so what's nice about it is kids generate, like you can get it set up and then you give the kids a link and then they all have their own bingo card. And then they can keep track of it, like they can save it and keep track of it. So it worked really good for remote learning. So I did just like a year-end review with all of my classes. So I used questions that could work for 8th grade all the way up to my seniors. And so every day I would put out 2 questions and I would send out 2 questions every day. And then, so everybody's bingo card is different. And I put enough questions that, and you can change the size of your bingo card too, by the way. So I just made sure I had enough questions so that everybody wouldn't have all the same numbers on their bingo boards. And so it kind of was fun. And then I made certificates and then I drove around to the houses of the people that won and I took them a certificate and a prize. So it was kind of fun. And then for my blended stations, when I do time them, I found this site. And so if you go to timer, so you can like reset it, or no, edit it. So you can set the time you want, and then you can also check, like set the sound. So yeah, we'll just do like 5 seconds and I'll say start. And then so there's the rooster, but you can do all kinds of sounds. And so sometimes like I'll have it on my computer and the kids won't know what the sound's going to be. And like they'll just kind of jump when they hear the sound go off. So that's another thing I like. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing now so I can see you people because I can't see you. All right. So questions that you have for me or suggestions you have or things that you do. Like I said, I'm not an expert in any of this. It's just some stuff I found that I just feel like engaging kids is important instead of just sitting there in your class like blah, blah, blah. And some kids, I swear there's some kids I'm never going to reach. I could stand on my head and do cartwheels and they would still look at me like, okay, she's totally crazy. But some of the stuff I do like because I do have those kids that don't do homework. I do have those kids that their home life isn't, they don't have somebody at home when they leave school and they get home that says, hey, what'd you do in math today? Or what homework do you have? If it's not done when they leave my room, it's not going to come back any different than it was. And so I like having those types of things because then they get to work with somebody. They're doing questions that they wouldn't do the homework anyway, but if you put it in that fun stuff, I don't know if they might not consider it fun, but at least they do it. Then they're all doing it. Where as opposed to if you just assign these 10 problems and send them out the door, they're not all going to do it. So that's just some stuff that I've done. So any comments, any suggestions, anything you want to see that I didn't do? I got a text from Ed. They were in negotiations, so that sounds awful. Okay, I can't hear. Okay.
That's where I was, Deb. I was in negotiations too.
Oh, I'm not on negotiations, thank God. The guy next
for
to
you.
me is. So, yeah,
For
I
your
don't know.
For your escape room, how did
Uh-huh.
you set that up in Google Forms? Like they had to answer the questions and then you just had that on the bottom? There's
Yeah,
there's just
so-
one question?
Let me,
Can you just
Okay,
show me one page how you
Yep.
set it up in Google Forms?
I will do that. Let me get that out of there. Okay. I'm gonna open mine, then I'll go back to sharing the screen with you, okay? Okay. All right, so I opened it up. Now I'm gonna go back to share screen.
Okay.
What I need a class on is how to Zoom. Okay. So this is the Google form that I set up. So I made that first question one that you had to do. And so then this is a picture. So I typed in my directions and I went here, like I typed this into a Word document and I used my snipping tool and I saved it as a picture. So I put it as a picture. And then down here, so on these 3 dots by the required, you can do response validation. So that's why I learned that. And so this was text and contains turkey, and I put it all caps, and then it'll say like, this is like an error message. And so I just said, try again, be sure it's all caps. And then I just like added a section. And then I went to, so I did sections instead of questions. So I added a section, and then like this says after section 2. And then when you click on here, you can tell it which section you want it to go to. Like if you wanted it, if you had something set up and you wanted it to go to a different section, you could. Mine just go in order, but you could probably, you could change that. And so then on this missing sides one, when I go here on my question, so the number was equal to 54.1. And so this was a number answer. So it's 54.1. And then my message, try again, did you round to the nearest 10th? And so that's all under this response validation. So like I said, I'm not a pro, but I was pretty happy that I got this done. Little successes in life, you know, especially during this time. And then the distance between 2 points, I just had that little formula in there. And so again, my response, so it's that those 3 dots, and it's the response validation is what you can make it, so that kind of locks it and they can't get to the next one until they type that in right. And then I had my word problem ones, which was just in colors. So I just typed the colors as I did all caps, and I just said, then in my error code, you know, you just need the first letter. And then my last one was just congratulations, you've escaped. And I could have done something more fancy there, like found a picture, but I didn't. But maybe my next one, maybe the next one I create. So did that help or no?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you just have to use the sections instead of just separate questions. So each of my,
Sections.
yeah, I just added a section, and then I had to make sure at the bottom you did that response validation, and I didn't make it a quiz. So like the point that like there was no points, like on a quiz, you know, you can have it worth so many points, and
Right.
I didn't do it that way. And then I just shared, I emailed the link to them. I put them in partners, and then one of the partners I emailed the link to. And so some kids, and I have kids too that just don't think outside the box. So that whole like, that it spelled turkey, I mean, they had the letters written down there, and I even had a picture of the turkey turkeys at the top. So I scrolled down their screen. I'm like, and then if they did it wrong, it spelled gobble. So like if they did the ones that weren't Pythagorean triples, that spelled gobble. So that, I mean, I'm not super creative, so that's about as creative as I got. So
It's cool.
So, I mean, you could have it like those, the things that my other ones say, like Grinch and Max or George Washington, or I don't have different things, but. So it was a total review, and some kids really got it, and other kids, it was just like way over their head. And then yeah. And like the whole point of escaping is you have to think a little bit. It's not just going to give you the answers, but you know, to add up the sums, that's not a terribly difficult thing to do. And then the one kids, they just couldn't read their own writing. They had marker boards, and it was 13.9 and they thought it was 13.4. So they had the right answers. They just couldn't read their own writing to add it up. So, okay. Any other questions or suggestions? I always take suggestions. Well, anything that you like see, if there's anything that I had on there that you would like me to send to you, I would send it to you. So like the blended or any of that stuff that so hopefully you were able to get in that bit.ly, and like the word wall, it's kind of interesting. Like I would suggest you check it out, just because it does have a lot of different things you can do. And the thing I liked about it is once you had your questions in there, you could change the things you did with those same questions. Like you could do the balloon pop, you could do quiz, you could do a little quiz, you could do a matching activity. You could do a lot of different things with the same questions. I thought that was kind of neat, and it was free. I didn't pay for anything. Somebody asked about the Kahoot. I think during the remote learning, you could get the Kahoot, like you could get an upper version for free. So I might still be using that, because I get a message all the time when I go into Kahoot, like, do I want to buy this? And I just say no. And then you have to say why. And I always click too busy and done. So, But I use quizzes a lot assigned as homework. I think Kahoot you can do that now with, and I've not done that with the Kahoot yet. Huh? Yeah, I'll be done in about 5 minutes. Okay. No, you're fine. The janitor don't want to come vacuum. I'm like, just give me 5 minutes. Be a little loud. She's one of those people you gotta be friends with. So yeah, the quizzes I use as homework a lot, or not homework, but I use it in Blended, or I'll assign it because you can change the time that it's due on it. And so I use those a lot in my Blended stations, the quizzes. Or we did a thing on Pythagoras, and so they had to do a reading on Pythagoras. So I just did questions on Pythagoras that they had to answer that were like multiple choice. So yeah. So anybody else have anything like exciting that they use that's really good that can help us?
The only thing that I can think of, which I don't do a lot of the things that you shared, so I gained a lot from this. Thank you, Deb.
Okay.
Our school went ahead and purchased GIM kit,
Oh yeah.
but and some of them use it as assignments, like you have to get to 50,000 points this week on this, or a lot of teachers use it a lot of different ways in our district, but that was an investment. So
Yeah, our Spanish teacher and our English teacher use GimKit a lot. My pastor used it in a confirmation. The kids loved it. We have a new young pastor, and yeah, he used it for confirmation. The kids loved it. So Trevor shared something with us in the.
Hey, see if it works. I can never know sharing settings in Google, how they work.
I agree. It's making me make a copy, so that's good.
All right, that is good.
Because I tried that with something else and it didn't work. Like I tried to have somebody make a copy and then it didn't work. So
I just do little choose your own adventures. So if they go into presentation mode in this, they can kind of click through, and it's just like another little review activity.
awesome. Thank you. All right, anybody else have anything they want to share? So GimKit, that's another one that I have had people use. I'm not a game person, so I'm not very good at that, but I did use that. I did do one thing in that. I think, is it not very math friendly, or did they up that?
I think it's math friendly.
Is it okay?
You can type stuff in, it'll turn things into flashcards. I mean, in the paid version. You can have it do where they have to enter the text. You can, it pairs nicely. Like I think it's been a while, I think in Desmos, I get confused between all of my Desmos and Google stuff extensions, but yeah.
Yeah, I didn't show Desmos because I figured a lot of you probably do a lot with Desmos, probably way more than I do. Nearpod and Pear Deck are pretty much are similar things. So Pear Deck's another one that you can do like a presentation with. You can get just the extension on your Google Slides, and then you can do stuff where they can write or they can type in answers. And that's kind of interactive too. The problem I had with that is I didn't know how to get change from what they see in the teacher mode. So I was kind of a hot mess. So I didn't. So I need to practice more with that. Need to do a little more practice with that. So, well, thanks a lot for joining me, guys, and hopefully you got something out of it, learned something new.
Thank you.
You're